this is the kidney. And even though there are 3 parts to this urinary system model, I'm going to focus on just one at a time. I already made a separate video for the the renal corpuscle. Now I'm going to focus on the kidney. And the first thing I want to say is that this adrenal gland up here is not a part of this chapter. We're not going to talk about it at all. So we're going to ignore that, pretend that's not there. And I'm going to go over, there's a lot to cover. This is going to be a long video, but I do have another video that goes over the path of blood through the kidney. So right now I'm just going to show you the structures quickly, but in that other video I'm going to follow the path of blood. So I just want to make sure that you look at that video too. So we have the renal artery, and the renal artery then branches and sends out, branches all the way out to the cortex of the kidney. The cortex, the renal cortex, is this light pink layer. It's the outer edge of the kidney. And then the renal medulla is the dark inner part here. So one of these pyramid-shaped structures is called a renal pyramid. And you can see that in 3 dimensions, it really is a pyramid. All of the renal pyramids together are called the renal medulla. So renal medulla is all of the renal pyramids. Just one is called a renal pyramid. And then this outer layer is lighter pink, and that is the renal cortex. The renal cortex also includes these renal columns. The renal columns are the parts of the cortex that are in between the renal pyramids. And then the renal pyramid, at the apex of the pyramid, is a bump here called the renal papilla. You can see that the renal pyramids are striped in appearance, and that is because they have collecting ducts. Collecting ducts are these long tubes here that collect urine from nephrons. So I'm zooming in even more. This is one nephron. This is another nephron. This collecting duct collects urine from both nephrons. And then at the renal papilla, the collecting duct empties urine into the minor calyx. So this is a minor calyx, this is a minor calyx. They both merge together to form a major calyx. All of the major calyces merge and form the renal pelvis. Now this number here is a little close to the ureter for my taste. I wish it were more centered in the renal pelvis over here, but the renal pelvis is continuous with the ureter, which then goes on down to the urinary bladder. So now I want to talk about the blood vessels. These are all called renal artery, and then where they arc over the base of the renal pyramid, we call it the arcuate artery, and then right next to it is the arcuate vein. So renal artery, renal vein right next to each other. Arcuate, arc for arcuate, or arcuate is for arc. Arcuate artery, arcuate vein right next to each other. And then these are cortical radiate arteries. And your book has removed the cortical radiate vein from your list of things you need to know, like vocabulary. So we're going to ignore that part. So the path of blood is, again, covered in another video. And it's not on your lab list, but I just want to show you the fibrous capsule, which is around the outside of the kidney. So once again, summary, renal medulla is all of the renal pyramids. The renal cortex is the outer layer, but also the renal columns are also a part of the renal cortex.